For those of you who are. Okay. Ms. Tisworth? Ms. Lane? Dr. Coleman? Present. Ms. Jackson? We have on Zoom Ms. Williams,
Present.
Ms. Veronica Morreal,
Present.
and Dr. Avant Elliott. Did we lose Ms. Elliott? Dr. Avant Elliott? Okay, we must have lost her. She may join again, but she was on there. Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I think we've lost Miss Dr. May. She will resume as soon as she can get back in. At this time, please, Ms. Lane, will you read our norms?
Yes, ma'am. Now can you hear me? Okay. Board of Education Board norms. These are the norms that we strive for. Number one, cohesive team. Pause to hear all voices after someone speaks. Consider all options. Assume positive intentions. Number two, collective agreement. Collective voices to reach decisions. Honor and respect the work of the board. Honor and supporting the board decision at all times. Number three, be prepared for meetings. The board will review the packet and submit questions within the established time frame. Members of the board will arrive 5 minutes prior to the start of the meetings. Administration will send board packets to the RGSD Board of Education within the identified time frame. Number four, not allow outside entities to dictate board actions. RGSD Board of Education decisions will be based on facts, policies, and procedures, not individuals' opinions or requests. Educate and encourage the community to follow proper protocols for voicing concerns. And that is in compliance with policy KC, community engagement.
Thank you. Thank you so much. At this time, may I have a motion to approve the agenda? It's
Madam
been
Chair?
moved by- Yes.
I so move.
Oh, are you second? It's been moved by Ms. Titsworth, so, and
Yes.
second by.
I will
Ms.
second.
Morrill. And seconded by Ms. Morrill to approve the agenda as presented. Roll call vote, please. Oh. Roll call vote, please. I'm sorry.
Just agenda, yes.
I apologize. We are troubleshooting our
Okay, I
soon to be
understand.
new platform. I do apologize.
It's okay.
So, Ms. Tisworth, Ms. Lane,
Yes.
Dr. Avant Elliott,
Present.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Real,
Yes.
Ms. Jackson,
Yes.
and Dr. Coleman.
Yes. Thank you. At this time, we will have our Riverview Excellence.
Good evening, Board of Education members, Dr. Patton, colleagues, community and scholars. Tonight for Riverview Excellence, we have several individuals that we will recognize from Michelle Obama Early Childhood Academic Center. If I could ask Dr. Amita Meeks Williams to come on up. And while she's coming, some of the individuals being recognized were unable to make it tonight, but I do want to read their acknowledgements anyway. Come on. All the way up. And so first, Kiana Allen is a parent at Michelle Obama Early Childhood Academic Center. SSD staff normally pays for the scholars to have snacks and things at Michelle Obama. And over the past couple of years, Miss Allen and her family have brought snacks for children. They always come to assist and are pleasant to work with. They advocate for their child. And so Dr. Meeks Williams wanted to honor Miss Allen with the Riverview Excellence Award. So we do have a plaque for her and a t-shirt, and we'll send that with her. I'm going to skip down to the bottom because I don't believe these individuals are here either, but also the Michelle Obama Early Childhood Academic Center custodial team, lead custodian James McGee, Jasmine Jones, Tamika Irby, and Cheryl Long. They worked hard as a team to accomplish awesome. Oh, here we go, right here. Miss McGee. And so the custodial team at Michelle Obama has worked hard as a team all summer to get the school ready for back to school. They cleaned over 40 rugs by themselves. The elevator, is it still out of order? Okay, the elevator was out of order for a while. And you know, if you've been to Michelle Obama, they have a lot of stairs in that building, but the team was still able to go through and clean and just pick up the carts and carry them down and make sure that they got the work done. And it did look wonderful for the last Board of Education meeting 2 weeks ago. So we just want to commemorate their staff. And lastly, we have a scholar, Miss Treasure Blakely. Treasure, come on up. And parent, you can come on up too. Great granny, come on. And Treasure is a model scholar. She is well-mannered, follows the school rules and executions. She is a leader and likes to read books and pretend in dramatic play. She is not a big talker. You can see she's silent right now. But when she talks, she has great ideas and likes her teachers and friends. You can see Treasure helping others, assisting them with their bike helmets, and being a good example in the line as the line leader. So we want to give this to you, Treasure.
The t-shirt for her is gonna be way too big.
Now I have some child t-shirts.
Okay,
So I think we have one. We'll get her size and we'll get her that before she leaves. But Board, if you want to come on up and take a photo with our Riverview Excellence winners.
Miss Treasure, you are absolutely why we do this job. You are
Oh.
absolutely why we are here. Awesome.
And while the board is coming, I'm gonna give them an opportunity to speak.
Treasurer was like, no, ma'am.
Thank you.
But you look weird holding the mic in the picture. All right, give everybody a round of applause.
So cute. So you can't, you can't. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Sumter. At this time, do we have any patron participation? Sure.
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, are we reading the letter from Pruitt Adams? Since it
No.
was for a public.
We had,
No, we don't have to
no,
read it.
we don't have to.
Okay,
We had intended to do that for the closed session, since she was not able to make it. Announcements.
Madam Chair,
Yes, please.
when everyone else is finished with their announcements, I do have a statement that I would like to read, if that's okay.
All right. I do
Okay.
have an announcement.
Okay, yes.
Good evening, everyone, scholars, families, staff, and community stakeholders. I want to take this opportunity to apologize to all of you, especially to our scholars and their families and our staff. Our actions in the last meeting set us back 20 years and sent a resounding message that we are divided. Our divisiveness hinders our ability to make the best decisions for all of our scholars. It is my desire that whether we agree or disagree, that our decisions always project that we, as the Board of Education, support the efforts of our superintendent, staff, students, and community. We will strive to be guided by our norms to make sure we are prepared and informed in our decision-making. We will strive to conduct ourselves in a manner that is professional at all times, maintaining provisional and gaining full accreditation hinges on us being a cohesive board. We will strive to put personal differences aside and seek opportunities to make sure that we are prepared and have a clear understanding before making decisions that affect our school district and our community. I ask you to forgive us. Our behavior was less than desirable, and I apologize for all of us. And please continue to support our efforts as we grow, and we are going to put some provisions in place that help us make better decisions. Thank you.
President, I appreciate your comments. I had prepared my own comments. However, you have, I believe, summarized some of our opinions very well. I support your comments, and most importantly, I support this district, the employees, the citizens, the children, the students, our superintendent, And we are going to achieve these norms that we took so much time and effort to, to, to author. So thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if no one else has comments, I start with the first comment, and that is that I want to thank the people that went to Dunklin, our superintendent, Dr. Patton. I had to write the names down. I had to think about it. Dr. Patton, Dr. Avant Elliott, yourself, I think Miss King, Shay Fields, Miss Sharp, and Dr. Williams. Miss Williams rather. I want to thank you all for going all the way out to Dunklin to support Region 7. At our fall regional meeting. That's my first thing. The second thing is this very ironic because the statements that you just read, I wholeheartedly support. I want to say this to everyone, whether you were at the meeting last week or on Zoom, in person, what have you. I was the one that made the wrong decision. And I think I want to say that it was not personally against anyone. The bottom line is, to me, I disregarded our norms, not on purpose, but at that time, and I'm not making an excuse, but at that time, I had a lot on my plate. Work-wise, I was working with aldermen. Some of you all know I'm dealing with things at home. And I intended to take the time to listen to what people had to say. I had to take the time to try to read the information, but I just did not have time. So I made the mistake that created this entire mess. And it is my hope and my desire that, first of all, you don't see us as a board that is dysfunctional, because we are not dysfunctional. We are learning. What I did was not personal against anyone. And I know some people took it that way because you are used to me voting in the affirmative. And what I should have done, what I call myself trying to do after Dr. Avant Elliott said, maybe we could just table it and have the whole board talk about it. I thought that would be a solution. But what all it did was it allowed time for people to develop perceptions, to develop what they thought happened. And inadvertently, I caused people to get accused of things that they did not do. So I want to first apologize to Shay and Dr. Patton, because they did send the information to me. It was my own fault and my own mistake that I did not get a chance to really review it the way I should have, and then could have made a better decision. But I dare anyone to doubt that I support the superintendent, that I support getting this district all the help that we need. I do support that. And I know that healing and trust and forgiveness takes time. And I'm okay with that. But I'm going to do everything I can to show this board, to show Dr. Patton, to show our leadership team, and to show the students and the parents of this district, which I am a part of, that I am serious about going all the way with us to help us get full accreditation. And I dare anybody else to say anything about it, because you don't know how committed I am to this board. I want to say additionally too that I received a phone call from somebody that I thought was a long time friend. And they actually had the nerve to say to me, "Oh, you're siding with the enemy now." And I want to go on record as saying that nobody on our school board is my enemy. Nobody on this school board is my enemy. As we transition to working as a team and get to know one another, yes, there are times when we might look at each other a little crazy, but I guarantee you, nobody on that board is my enemy. I respect everybody on that board. It may not appear like it sometimes, but I do, because I know when it's all said and done, we all care about the direction that our district is going. Another person told me it was about time that I stopped being how did they phrase it? Anyway, they were trying to say that whatever anybody wants done, that I just go ahead and do. And that's not the case either. And so I ask your forgiveness and your understanding that if in the future, maybe I don't vote the way that you think I should vote, or vote what I feel is right, and it may not agree with you, don't charge it to me doing anything to you personally. It's not that. I had a good conversation with Dr. Patton, a good conversation with Dr. Coleman, and I took in the suggestions that you have. I'm always willing to learn. And so I will do all I can to make sure that when I speak, make a vote or anything pertaining to Riverview Gardens, I will make sure that I have done everything that I can possibly do to make sure that I am making a decision that's based on facts and everything that our board norms stand for. But I just want to say, please don't take this out on the board at large when you know that it was my vote that set all of this mess in place. So again, I apologize to those of you in the community, those of you that may not be present at the building or what have you. The only thing I can do at this point is I've made my apology, and I'm going to move on, and I'm going to help us to move upward. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Real. It took a lot of heart. I appreciate you. Thank you so
Yes.
much. Are there any other announcements?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I just want to clarify, that when we do make statements, because we have not vetted any statements amongst the board, that they are individual statements. So I would, like for statements to be made that we either collectively agree to or we make them as our own, because everything that is said is not necessarily something that I agree with, but it was stated as if it was a board, statement as our representative. I believe that the norms are being followed. People's yays are their yays, their no's are their no's, and people should respect it. If you are a citizen that watch and see that a decision is made, it is appropriate to ask, because we're making decisions on behalf of the community. And I'm going to always make a decision that I feel is sound fiscally and sound morally. And so that is my decision-making process. And I think that the board is growing, and what I observe, being returning back to the board, that it was heavily superintendent driven, and we do need to recalibrate and make sure that we're leading amongst ourselves as a board members, and not being superintendent directed, because that is a practice that is against norms and training as well. And so this is something that we have to work on collectively doing, is being able to make sound decisions and lean on the strengths of one another as far as our background, skills, and abilities in our legislative training. So that's the statement that I want to make. I don't think that is something that requires a major apology. People make their decisions. It should be respected, and people can ask individuals why they made that decision for clarity.
Thank you. And for clarity, let me say, I am apologizing for me. I'm not speaking for anyone else here. I'm speaking for Nikita. And for Nikita as president of this board, I apologize.
And I was speaking for Veronica. Thank you.
Is there anything?
We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it.
Thank you. At this time, we'll call for the superintendent's report.
I don't have a report. The only statement I have is that Riverview Gardens will get back to full accreditation, and we will do this as a team, a board team, as well as a team of administrators and teachers. We've got work to do, and we got babies to take care of. That is Dr. Patton's focus, and that will be the focus of this administrative team. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. At this time, we are ready to move into our items for information.
Thank you. Thank you, Board President. Our first item up for information is the preliminary map and EOC data. This is being presented by Dr. Tiffany Hunter, and this is in conjunction with Policy IL Assessment Program. Dr. Hunter?
Okay, good evening, Riverview Gardens School Board, Dr. Tanya Patton, colleagues, and community. This evening, I will be presenting the preliminary EOC and map data information. So I'm gonna wait for Matt to get the presentation on the screen. Thank you, Matt. You can go to slide number 2. So the purpose of this presentation is to inform the board of our preliminary data for 2024 and compare our preliminary data to our 2023 results. During the presentation, I will discuss strengths and the actions our team is taking to address the data. So on the screen, you see our preliminary data for ELA and how it compares to the results for from the 2023 school year. So when comparing the preliminary results from 2024 to our 2023 results, the first area to celebrate is the number of below basic scholars and how they have decreased in almost every grade level.
Amen.
Y'all can clap. It's
We
okay.
got work.
We also see an increase in proficient and advanced scholars in 5 of the 7 grade levels, which is another celebration.
Yes.
So a lot of this growth is attributed to the work with Solution Tree, our content coordinators, and the addition of intervention blocks in each of our K-8 buildings to support students in areas of need. And what I mean by that is that there is a block of time in each K-8 building where there's an hour allotted for students to basically work in small groups on things that they need, basically. So it's a what I need hour, whether it be extension for those who are gifted or those who might need extra support with skills that are on their level.
And I want to add, Dr. Hunter, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the commitment of our building leaders as well, because they are committed to moving their district forward or moving their buildings forward. So thank you, but I
Yes.
want to add them to that list because they are very committed. And I know you weren't leaving them out. I just
Not at
wanted
all.
to identify them.
Because without them, I mean,
Absolutely.
their boots are on the ground. And so we definitely attribute that growth to them as well. So when diving deeper into the data, the item summary reveals that most students did well on questions requiring context clues or questions focusing on vocabulary. So this is an improvement from previous years because when looking at previous years' data, usually our scholars struggle with vocabulary. But when looking at the item summary, we can see that students actually are doing fairly well with those vocabulary standards. While there's a lot to celebrate, to strengthen our foundational skills in kindergarten through 2nd grade to increase the proficiency in 3rd grade for ELA. And the item summary also reveals a need to focus on writing across content areas, speaking and listening standards, and drawing conclusions about various texts. So moving on to mathematics, when comparing our preliminary data to our 2023 results, we see a decrease in below basic scholars in every, and I want to specify that because
Say that word again.
every grade level. And so we also see an increase in proficient and advanced scholars as a district and in almost every grade level. So when looking deeper into the data, the item summary shows that most of our scholars in grades 3 through 5 demonstrate a fairly good understanding of the standards involving fractions. This is an improvement also from previous year's data. We also attribute this growth to the work with our Solution Tree coaches, our building leaders who collaborate with our Solution Tree coaches, our content coordinators who oftentimes spend time in the building, modeling in classrooms, working closely with instructional coaches and teachers, and also the addition of the intervention block. Again, I say that again because that has been very helpful. And with that, during the PLC time, our building principals are working with our teachers to identify those priority needs for certain students and then making plans of action to actually execute in those intervention groups. And so it's very strategic. There's a lot to celebrate in math, but there's still opportunities for more growth. So we see a need to continue to increase the number of scholars in the proficient and advanced categories. And so the item summary reveals that there is a need to focus on various mathematical skills to solve word problems. So basically using different operations to solve word problems is an area of focus. And also the area of focus is in writing. And so when really diving deep into the item summary, you'll see a question. It'll be the same standard. It'll be offered as a multiple choice question, constructed response question. Our scholars do phenomenal under the multiple choice questions. Same standard, constructive response, almost every scholar would miss that question. And so we did a lot of work with looking at those type of patterns, which then lend us to say that an area of focus has to be writing across the content areas. So for science and social studies, we see that there is an increase in scholars in the basic range at every grade level, and in government, there was an increase in scholars who scored advanced. When looking at the item summary for science, there was an increase in how scholars performed on the Earth and space standards. We also saw an increase in fifth grade for our proficient and advanced scholars. And if you remember, our fifth grade curriculum was revamped at the beginning of last year. And so that was implemented in that 2023, 2024. Yep, 2023, 2024. And so we see that increase here in fifth grade. But again, the area of focus, opportunity for growth is again the writing. And a lot of the assessments are heavily constructive response. And so just again, putting that before our scholars so that they can practice with that. And so now our team is doing a lot to really respond to this data. And so as a team, in July, our building administrators engaged in a district data dive where we analyzed our item summary and we determined standards of focus. During that meeting, we also began discussions around the RAM acronym, which our new Assistant Superintendent, Mrs. Tiffany Buchanan, has shared with the team. And RAM stands for rigorous and relevant, aligned to standards, and measurable. And so the CNI team, in collaboration with the building administrators, are working to complete a learning walkthrough tool that is aligned to RAM instruction and what that looks like in the classroom. During our beginning of the year PD, our secondary content teachers also participated in PD related to integrating writing into their content areas. And this will be ongoing PD throughout the year. So they've already had one session, and it's something that we'll continue to do to address those areas where our students are struggling with constructive response. We are continuing our work with Solution Tree under the leadership of Ms. Barbara Sharp, where we are focusing on effective professional learning communities. All elementary teachers are engaged in LETTERS training, which follows the science of reading to assist with teaching foundational reading skills. We will also begin MAP practice with our scholars now and begin discussions around effective test taking strategies and not waiting to April and May. So beginning those discussions and practicing how we play. As I used to like to say when I was a classroom teacher, we practice how we play. And so, and we are currently reviewing our action steps and goals in our CSIP, and we have actually identified new focuses or kind of the same focuses for the 24-25 school year. And so this is our new one-pager for this school year. When you look at it, you'll see the addition of science, again, based on the data that we saw. And we also added the language of the science of reading under ELA. And again, all of this is based off our preliminary data. And so at this time, are there any questions?
Dr. Hunter, do you want to, this template that you made, do you want
Oh,
to speak
yes.
to that? I'd like you to present that so that they can see our community, our board can see the work that we're doing with breaking down the standards.
Okay, and so also in your packets, you saw a document, it's the other document, Matt.
You can use mine. Give it back though. Okay.
And so it's basically a standard breakdown by grade and subject. This is one of the many documents that our district leadership has kind of been looking at just to kind of identify where our strengths are as it relates to standards and where our opportunities for growth are. And so with the district data dive, this is kind of my version of it, but our building administrators actually kind of did this on their own. So working in their teams of administrators, they looked at the item summary and they identified strengths within the district as well as opportunities for growth. And so a lot of the things that they chose are things that I also identified. And so when looking at strengths, that's where at least 50% of the points possible were actually earned. And so in cases where it was not applicable, because some situations we didn't have students who met that 50 or the points were not 50% or more, we just picked the 3 highest points earned for the standard that was chosen. And so with the opportunities for growth, those are standards that are deemed as priority for DESE, and they're based on the number of times they're assessed, points possibles, and we did not meet that 50% of points earned. And so kind of breaking this down for the team so that we can, again, zero in on focus so that we could teach standards to mastery and get the most points possible. So, yes. That good?
Yes,
President?
thank you. Thank
Can I
you.
ask a question? I have
Oh,
a
wait,
comment.
Go ahead.
So I remember when this solution tree was first introduced and I was brand new on the board. I think that I learned an awful lot about how all of this and how hard you all have worked to make this applicable to our students. So if memory serves me correctly, Solution Tree was a finite program, wasn't it?
Mhm.
That was heavily driven by the superintendent to bring in to help our students. Am I correct?
Yes, we had a committee of people that worked together to select Solution Tree, Ms. Lane. Our previous superintendent worked with Dr. Kramer at Solution Tree. And then Ms. Sharp, our continuous improvement office, Executive Director of Continuous Improvement, she works a lot with a level of members from Solution Tree as well. So she's heavily in this work. Dr. Joyland and Dr. Kramer was heavily in this work as well. And as you can see, it's making a difference.
And it's very important when you have members of the board who are not educators to have this kind of information presented to us so we can help make the best decision for our students. So thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hunter. Very good. This is the work that we will continue along with our comprehensive school improvement program, and we will continue to move our district forward. So this was something to smile about. Not where we want to be, but it's not where we were, and it's definitely not where we will be. Our next item up for information is the family engagement calendar. This is being presented by our Executive Director of Student Support and Community Service, Ms. Deirdre Liddell. And this is in conjunction with Policy KC, Community Engagement. Ms. Liddell?
Greetings to the Riverview Gardens Board of Education, Dr. Tanya Patton, colleagues, and community. The family engagement events are vital to Riverview Gardens School District because they foster partnerships between families and educators. They create supportive networks and enhance student success. These events encourage open communication, build trust, and provide families with the tools and resources needed to support their children's academic and social emotional development and build stronger communities. Tonight, I submit to you the Family Engagement and Parent Advisory Council events calendar for the 24-25 school year. Are there any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I presented this, I sent a letter, an email to my city administration and asked if they would put this on our city website. So it's on the first page of Bell Fountain Neighbors. So if any other board members, if your administration will allow you, that way it's always accessible for the citizens.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lane.
Our next item, any other questions? I'm sorry. All right, our next item up for information is also being presented by Deirdre Liddell, and this is an enrollment update for Riverview Gardens.
So this enrollment update is from 9/4 of 2024. Our projected school numbers are 5,502 students, and the students that are in attendance was 4,947. Since September 4th, that number has grown. So we have more students in attendance, but we still have the 5,502 students that are projected for enrollment.
Ms. Liddell, can you speak to some of the things we're doing to get all of our students enrolled?
Yes, so so in regards to enrollment, we have our homeless school coordinators going out, they're knocking on doors. We started an attendance task force last year, so before school ever started, we had a group of staff members going to knock on doors. We have our attendance secretaries calling home We have letters going home, just a bunch of different things to make sure that we have all of our students in attendance. Are there any questions?
Madam Chair,
Thank you.
Yes.
Ms.
Ms.
Liddell,
Moore.
could you repeat the numbers again, please?
Yes. There's
The-
5,502 students that are projected for enrollment. The students that are in attendance as of September 4th, 2024 was 4,947 scholars.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Ms.
Wow.
Ms. Monica Williams.
Okay, good evening. Ms. Liddell, the number you gave was 4947 in attendance.
Yes,
So are we still expecting the other 500 students
yes.
based on the projected enrollment?
Yes, ma'am. So based on the projected enrollment, we're still expecting them. And that's why we have the task force going out, calling, knocking on doors, trying to figure out where they are. I know that after the holiday, we received a jump throughout the entire week. So I will come back and give another update as far as these numbers go, because I know the numbers have grown.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Liddell.
Mhm. There's another hand up.
I think Dr. May's hand
Dr.
is
May's
up.
hand is
Dr.
up.
May, is your hand up?
Yes, when is the date that will cause the impact on our budget as far as the per student allocation? Are you aware of when is the
It's
cutoff?
the last Wednesday of the month, September 25th.
Okay. So that's the goal in trying to get them before that date. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Liddell. The
Oh,
next item,
I'm sorry. I did on the calendar, Dr. Patton. I know that for communication purposes, since the calendar does exist, if there are reoccurring links, it may be helpful for the families to have that in advance so they can always go back to that email and just click on the link in reference to whatever the virtual meetings are. That was the only comment that I had on the calendar for the parents.
Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Williams.
I'm sorry, I do have another question. Ms. Liddell, who's on the task force?
So we have our home to school coordinators, we have our attendance secretaries, we have our counselors, we have our social workers. We have a restorative team. And then there may be other people within those buildings that have different relationships. So we do have coaches and different things, different people within those buildings that are a part of those teams.
Thank you.
Madam
thank
Chair,
you, Ms.
Yes,
may I ask one additional question?
yes.
So I'm just curious, would this be the number of students that we're hoping to get enrolled by this time? How many of them would you say would be our SIT students, you know, the students in transition or what have you? Do you think that that is a big portion of that number?
We currently have 788 SIT scholars enrolled.
Okay. Okie dokie. Thank
I
you.
think Ms. Morrow, were you also asking of the 500 that we are still trying to get? Are you also asking, do we believe that a large portion of that number is part of that?
That's exactly what I was trying to ask.
Are
Yeah.
there, I'm trying to get it right. Are there, in that 500 plus students that we are awaiting, is a large portion of them SIT students?
No, ma'am. The
Okay.
SIT students are already enrolled.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Liddell. The next item up is a revision to the organizational chart. A review of the organizational chart for 24-25. We noticed that students in transition and Project Aware was left off. under the Executive Director of Student Support and Community Service. So the revision is we added those two under Ms. Liddell's leadership. Are there any questions?
Ms. Williams?
I do have a quick question. When I looked at the agenda items, benefits was under human resources. Is that still the case or has it moved to the finance office?
It moved to finance.
Okay, I believe on the organizational chart, it's listed under human resources.
Okay, so that just says we need another revision. So we will make sure that we review that and hopefully submit a final revision at our next board meeting. Are there any other questions?
Dr. May?
Yes, I was just curious of one thing. Also, in the formatting, some of the titles are cut off, so we can't really see what their titles are. Like, for instance, director of, you can tell that it's probably assessment because you can see like the top part of the S's. But I was just curious, has the secretaries always been under student support services management versus some other administrative us executive administrative role? They've
The
always
sec-
been under student support services, the secretaries.
Those would be the attendance secretaries.
Oh,
And
okay.
they work in conjunction with the building principal as well as the student support services in the enrollment, in the registration and enrollment part. So those will be attendance secretaries. They just work along with the building principals as well as the executive director of student support services.
Okay, so all of them are the secretary too?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Are there any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, we are moving into items for discussion. Our first item up for discussion is the disproportionality funding. This is being presented. This is an MOU with Special School District. This is being presented by Deirdre Liddell, Executive Director of Student Support and Community Service. And this is in conjunction with Collaborative Cultures, and there's not a policy reference. Ms. Liddell?
Greetings again. The Special School District has been committed to supporting Riverview Gardens through several partnerships. The disproportionality funding supports the efforts in providing social, emotional, and mental health supports for our students in an effort to reduce our overall suspension rate and improve our climate and culture. Currently, there are 2 RTI interventionists, our MTSS coordinator, social emotional supports for curriculum K-8, external providers, a tracking system for MTSS, as well as other materials, personnel, and resources. The MOU was previously reviewed by legal, and it has been recommended that the Riverview Gardens Board of Education approve the MOU with SSD to reimburse Riverview Gardens School District for the amount not to exceed $450,000. A recommendation for approval will be presented later at tonight's meeting. Are there any questions?
Dr. May, you have your hand up? Oh, okay. No.
All right, Ms. Liddell, moving right into the Memorandum of Understanding for Student Support Services.
MOUs play a crucial role in supporting the Riverview Gardens School District. Our partners bring in resources that enhance and positively impact our students' academic, health, and social emotional outcomes while improving the overall climate and culture of our school and community. I bring before you today the PAL program, which is the Police Athletic League, Children's Division Prevention Program, as well as Job Corps. All MOUs are under legal review and are no cost to the district. The Office of Student Services is requesting approval for the attached MOUs for the 2024-25 school year at the next board meeting. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Our next item up for discussion is the RGHS Building Envelope Project, Prop S. This is being presented by our Executive Director of Facilities, Mr. Carl Scheid, and this is in conjunction with Policy DGF, Purchasing. Mr. Scheit.
Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Patton, colleagues, and community. Tonight I come before you with an item for discussion centered around the Riverview Gardens High School building envelope projects. There are many deferred maintenance projects that exist at the high school, and that is our high school. That is our only high school. And we have a lot of work to do. So I'm coming before you tonight to touch upon some of these projects that we're seeking approval for. This will come before you for approval on the 24th. On the high level, it's really focusing on the parking lot and curbs, demolition of the tennis court, repairing the gym wall facade, addressing our gymnasium roof, exterior painting district-wide, as well as some design services for the Building 9 screen walls, which if you're familiar with Building 9, it has those concrete structures that are hanging on there. Those are deteriorating and will need to be addressed. I did go in much more detail on the justification. I'm not going to read all of that and belabor that. Ultimately, we are teaming up with Weatherproofing Technologies Incorporated through the Omnia Partners Purchasing Cooperative to address these projects. I have representatives from the company tonight that are here. They're going to talk a little bit more specifically about those projects. The total of all these projects is to not exceed $2,531,241.41. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and invite representatives from Weatherproofing Technologies up who will share some more information.
Yes, excellent. Thank you, board, staff, scholars, and community. My name is Rob Kukru. I represent Tremco and WTI, general contracting through the Omnia Cooperative. And I appreciate this time to show you a little bit of a visualization of 6 individual projects grouped together for this one. Let's see here. I think that's got me. Okay, perfect. So hopefully you can see this. We did bring a couple of handouts if you need to see it up close. We got an extra copy or two. The first one here is a 30,000-foot view, literally, of multiple paving and one greenfield project. So you can see down the main drive of the high school when you enter, there's a large yellow area there, and that is an area of deferred maintenance for asphalt, curbings, and a little bit of asphalt that needs a little extra work there next to the gym where it's deteriorated past the point of sealing and resurfacing. Those numbers up there a little closer in person. Down in the left-hand corner, you'll see the one of the 2 tennis court areas that, as Carl mentioned, is in a level of disrepair. That project is proposed for greenfielding, turning it back to well-sloped grass with proper drainage so that it can be utilized, I think, at a different time for a future project of the district's choosing. I'll move on to the second slide here. I mentioned there's 6 projects. There's approximately 6-7 slides in total. So this won't be 100 slides. I apologize. Okay, so this one's a little bit harder to see, especially on this here. You notice little red lines and a couple of red circles there. These are dilapidated concrete curbs. And I think Larry might hand out a photo or 2, or he's going to show you the gym facade wall. Okay, so these are dilapidated concrete curbs that some of them are broken, buried. And if you've noticed this sort of thing as you're driving through, the concrete lasts a long time. This is probably taking quite some time to get to that. So there's a lot of concrete that will be broken out and repoured for the next 50+ years. Okay, so a little more up close photos here. We're moving on to the gym, its roof and facade. So the gym exterior in total has had some challenges over the last several years, or maybe 8 to 10 that I've been working with Mr. Thruwalker here in the district. One of which is, you can see at the very edge there is clean, fresh white stripes. Well, we're losing the edges. We've had to do a lot of repair work over the last 3 years, keep water from coming inside of the gym with a very expensive hardwood flooring and a very nice, freshly, I think, sanded and painted hardwood floor. In addition to that, we have the gym outer wall, which you can very well see every time you drive by. It's plaster. It's taken some abuse over its life cycle. It probably served its life cycle out some time ago. We were proposed product here that you want to let them touch it or whatnot. It's called New Brick. So this has the look and feel of brick, but is applied much faster, has a lot less waste, and is less costly than brick. This brick was sent to a laboratory with one of your bricks to match the existing brick that is the rest of that building, would blend in seamlessly. In addition to that, and this goes throughout the high school campus, there's a painting project. So in its design, the high school had quite a bit of exposed steel, be it handrails, pillars, posts, and at the tops of many of the buildings. They've been painted before. You can see up close in these photos, you can see where paint of multiple layers has come off and a little bit of blue and a little bit of silver. All that would be what we call mechanically abraded, or basically ground down and then repainted with a fresh coat to stop the steel from rusting. Some of the close-up photos, you can see the rusting that's there. Some of that rust has streamed down the walls. So not only is it slightly damaging the steel, but it's also causing visual challenges at the school. Here's a little bit up close. So this is actually the 6th project. The food services dock, and I may be calling that wrong, but the loading dock, okay, in the food services area. I know some people are there. We lost the steel and the rubber bumpers where the trucks back up. The concrete that's there isn't just a big flat slab of concrete. A lot of the utilities for the school, the major water line, the gas line, are actually channeled right below there. And losing concrete or having it fall could cause a bigger issue. And then again, there's some streaking on the wall there that would be addressed as part of that project as well. And then we mentioned here building, I believe it's building 9, the administration building at the high school. We have, I use the word crumbling. That's, we've lost a few of those clay bricks. They are heavy. They again have served out their service life. There are machinery and mechanical items behind them. So just removing them would, expose some of those mechanical items. So this proposal is for design services to reutilize the steel that's still there, that's in good shape, that's holding the clay blocks, and then bring to you another design of a more modern wind sail or a variety of items for you to choose from. That could be utilizing as much as you can leave with beautifying that building as well. I think that may be, so yeah, that was our visualization of the projects, but I wanted to open the floor to anyone who had any questions about any of these.
What's the lifespan of this wall that you said it's not really brick?
New brick wall?
Mhm.
Yeah, so the warranted lifespan of the wall is 25 years with the expectation that this wall will live 50. It is repairable more easily than brick is. As you can see, it's considerably thinner.
Mhm.
And so they can be cut out. It's mortared, just like a regular brick is mortared. And so they can be taken down and done individually. They're put on a little more like tile than a brick, so that the foundation behind it, if there were to be any damage, more individual pieces can come down. So they're not, bricks can be necessary to have several of them support. So if you lose one in the middle, you might have to go all the way up to the corner. This wouldn't be the case for these, as they're more of a veneer than a brick.
Okay, and we're able to withstand Midwest weather, rain,
Yes,
snow,
yes.
cold, all of that?
In fact,
Heat.
most of the projects that have been done with this product have been in the Midwest, Illinois, Indiana, that have utilized this project. We have several in Missouri. It is used in a couple of like the Drury hotels or hotels that are currently being built because of its environmental impacts a lot lower than brick. Just the truckloads alone, plus the amount of waste that goes into the dumps.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
How long will this project take?
Okay, so being that there's really 6 individual projects, some will move more quickly than others, depending upon approvals and contracts that were to go through and the speed of the district and board, if you would. There is still time in the year to basically pull off several of them. It's going to be weather dependent. So when we get into the cold winter of December timeframe, it will need to stop until approximately March before it could resume again, most of these. And that's dependent on not just the water that's in the mortar for the bricks, but the water contained in most of these products like paint.
Ms.
I can-
Tisworth,
I can
turn on
point
your
this.
microphone. It's off. Turn it on.
Now you said this is cheaper than actual brick.
It is less expensive due to the fact that it can be applied more quickly and with less, trucking and waste.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there other questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Yes,
everyone.
on Zoom.
Oh, I'm sorry, we couldn't see you.
Okay.
Dr. May?
That's okay. I was just interested in life expectancy of the products, any warranties, and what is the maintenance schedule after that so that we won't get to this point again.
Certainly. So
Okay.
all of these projects will require some level of maintenance in the future. Some are lower than others. The Greenfield project, it will fall under typical grass cutting. When we get to some of the parking lot sealant, the area that was in yellow, that would be a crack fill seal stripe. It's recommended every 3 years. Those who accomplish that every 5. That's an industry standard, and that seems to work out pretty well in our area, but 3 is recommended. The area that was in red, a little bit differently, that'll last a little bit longer because we're removing 2 inches of the top layer in that area that was red, and that goes down brand new. So that will last 5 and be resealed and striped again on that 3-year basis after the first 5. So then we get into the different projects like the painting. Painting is anticipated to last 10 years. It is unlikely that it'll be repainted in 10 years. Usually we see that get carried out after. But if we don't let it get to the point where we've lost multiple layers, then you won't experience the level that you're at now. The roofing on the gym, those are 20-year projects. Most of the industrial, commercial, and educational roofing is in that spectrum. There are some flex there. Some are 10 in the world, some are 15, some are 25, but 20 is the industry average for K through 12.
So the support schedule is like what? So if something needs some attention right away because of how it was installed, what does that look like?
Okay, certainly. So there, to address that specifically, if something is wrong because it's installed incorrectly, the cooperatives have a lot of built-in protections for the school districts. And there is consistent monitoring throughout and reporting from us as the general to and through the facilities department as to how the progress is going. In the end, the facilities department has final say on, should this be, accepted and be paid for by the district. I don't know if that.
Okay. Is there like an external engineer or any type of person project managing that inspects and reports on the status of that?
Yes. So each individual product or trade, that answer is multifold too, because it's 6 projects. So there would be an architectural and engineering firm that will work with the structure that's at Building 9 out of the 6 of those proposals. So there would be an architectural and engineering firm designing that specifically. When you get to the gym facade, there is a division of my company that is the roofing manufacturer. They will independently inspect, not from myself or my colleague, Mr. Ford, that will independently inspect and write an inspection report that that roof would pass and you'd be issued your warranty. Similarly with the wall, that would come from the company New Brick, the manufacturer. They would inspect and issue the warranty from there. The painting is a material warranty, so that inspection would happen by us, the general contractor, based on the painter, and then also internally here at the district.
Okay, my last question, do you have
Sure.
any minority-owned subcontractors?
So there is a form, and it probably, you may have one here at the district too. I don't know all the policies, but there's usually a participation form for all the subcontractors to fill out. Currently, do we have some? We have the workers. We will have, a menagerie of different people of different walks of life, types, colors, disabled veteran contractors and alike throughout there. It will all be cataloged, as well as all of their time for all the Missouri statutes for prevailing wage law. That all gets cataloged as well, and then delivered to you throughout the project. Because the 6 individual projects probably happen at slightly different times.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next up is the Lemaster's HVAC unit replacement with Prop S. This is being presented by Mr. Carl Scheid, our Executive Director of Facilities, and this is in conjunction with policy DJF purchasing. Mr. Scheid.
Good evening again. I'm coming before you for an item of discussion regarding the Lemaster's HVAC unit replacement. As stated in the background of this item, we have approximately 12 mid-sized rooftop units that serve 18 classrooms and areas of the school. These units are anywhere from 26 to 30 years old. So they have actually gone beyond their useful life. We have some units that are not fully functional. So we have some that don't have complete cooling function. We have some that don't have complete heating function. And we've reached the point we need to invest and replace these units. So we've approached this project utilizing the services of Daikin TMI LLC. They're a member of the Interlocal Purchasing Systems Program, which is another purchasing cooperative for schools and other governmental entities with existing contracts for the purchase of and installation of HVAC equipment. With me tonight, I have Mr. Jeff Escott with Daikin TMI, and he can go ahead and speak to the project, the scope of work, and answer any questions you may have.
Readers on. All right, thank you to the board, district staff, students, and the community for the opportunity to review the Lemaster's Elementary School heating, cooling, and ventilation systems. This actually was on the radar beginning a couple of years ago due to the deterioration of the equipment. Mr. Scheit mentioned the age of the equipment. It has exceeded use of life. Typically for a rooftop unit, 20 years is pretty good. As he mentioned, we're pushing 30 years on some of these systems. There are 12 rooftop units currently right on the school roof right now that are falling into that category. They do serve 18 spaces. 16 are classroom and student areas. One is the main office and one is the computer lab. So the current issues mentioned useful life, parts obsolescence. So 2 of the units are no longer functioning in terms of mechanical cooling. 3 of the units are not able to function in the heating mode, which is coming here pretty quickly due to failed heat exchangers. Due to the obsolescence of parts that are no longer manufactured for these units, they cannot be repaired. The other more important item too is the fresh air dampers. These units are required by code to provide fresh air to the space. That fresh air requirement is roughly 15 cubic centimeters CFM per student per occupied space. Those dampers right now in that function are currently inoperable at best. New units. So we took considerable time to evaluate, obviously, the spaces and the conditions which require load evaluation. Load evaluation is occupancy, how many people are in there, the required heating, cooling, and ventilation. Outside air will be restored to these spaces. The integration into the building automation system is critical. Currently, the units that sit on the roof right now are not properly controlled, and this leads to high energy consumption. A lot of the units do run 24/7 when they're operating in their current mode. Basically, they're stuck. So the other part of it is the warranty for the new units. Industry standard for new rooftop units typically is 1-year parts, 1-year labor out of the box, and then 10-year on a heat exchanger. These units are going to come with 5-year full parts warranty, going to come with 20 years on the heat exchanger. So I mentioned the heating failures on the current units right now. Those are heat exchanger related. 20 units is double the industry, 20 years, pardon me, on these units is double the industry standard for warranty coverage. So that's pretty significant. The other key variable as we approach the heating season is the availability of the machines. We've actually identified 12 machines that are in stock, and we've currently put a hold on those machines for the district in discussion with Carl in effort to be able to potentially meet that heating need that's coming here pretty quickly. We've worked with Mr. Scheit and his staff to identify some areas on the district calendar where we would be able to perform this particular work. The duration of the work is actually not all that extensive. However, the building does need to be unoccupied due to the safety of, lifting heavy equipment into the air and swinging it through the open spaces. We anticipate we could potentially, we will be able to complete this project by year end, but we are targeting right now October 25th through October 28th. The 25th and the 28th are fall break days for the district. We do always strive for minority participation in all of our projects. Our goal is 25% at a minimum. We do employ minority contractors as part of our subcontracting team. Ameren utility rebates, due to the function of building automation in combination with high efficiency machines, there's a big difference between the machines that were put in close to 30 years ago and where you will be now. You will qualify for the Ameren utility program, which is fantastic. And 100% of those rebates will be returned to the district. Once the project's complete, you'll get a summary of that report. That engineering, the energy engineering, is done independently through Ameren UE. And they're fantastic to work with. And they are a good partner with the district. I think I've met and seen you before, and we had a nice presentation a few years ago with the checks. So that's all I have right now on the LeMaster's heating, cooling, and ventilation system. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to help answer them.
Ms. Williams, I see your hand.
Good evening, sir. Has the district used your company before for heating and cooling services?
Yes. Yes, we've done multiple projects with the district. We did the high school gymnasium and a few of the other buildings in 2022. Currently, we are under contract with the district to do Westview. Westview is a very significant project. Quick little update on Westview. We're actually 25% complete, so we are on target. When I last spoke with you, that was our goal to get there for some of those critical areas. So we're doing Westview right now. We will be wrapped up with Westview the summer of 2025.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. May?
Yes, this might be a question for Mr. Is it Scheit? Is that how you pronounce it? Is there a full schedule of the buildings that need the HVAC maintenance or replacement?
Yeah, so we are actually looking at all of our buildings and really trying to focus in on where we need to hit strategically. I mean, we know we have aging systems at all of the buildings, but we have some continual problems that keep surfacing. So we're looking at other areas, like we have some challenges at Glasgow, have challenges at Michelle Obama. So there's a series of projects that we're looking at. We're really digging down to try to find solutions to long-term problems and then figure out what is practical and what can be accomplished. And then obviously as we arrive at those solutions, then we would bring those forward to be addressed.
Do we have someone internally that can support maintenance, or do we normally have to outsource that as well for the HVAC?
So how we're currently structured, we utilize, it's a combination. We have some district staff that are HVAC technicians. They more so focus on the preventive maintenance side in terms of filter changes and cleaning of the units and so forth. And we're currently utilizing Wiegman and Associates to perform our actual repairs to the system. So we have a hybrid at the present time.
Okay, thank you. And I appreciate your presentation. You answered the questions that I asked the other person. Thank you.
I do want to point out, as far as maintenance with these units, they are low maintenance units. The district staff would be able to take care of them in terms of the preventative maintenance. It's filter changes and coil cleanings. So it's pretty low maintenance, very minimal time consumption.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Coleman, this concludes the items for discussion.
Okay. At this time, I'd like a motion to approve the item, to approve the consent agenda.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I so move.
It's been moved by Ms. Mario to approve the consent agenda
Second.
and second by Ms. Lane. Are there any questions? Roll call vote, please, Shay.
Ms. Tisworth? Ms. Lane?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Dr. Avant Elliott?
Yes.
Ms. Mario?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
And Dr. Coleman?
Yes. Thank you. At this time, we'll move to our items for action.
It's one item.
One item, and that is the special school district disproportionality funds. Are there any questions? Can I get a motion to approve the item for action?
So move.
It's been moved by Dr. May to approve the item for action. Can I get a second? And second by Ms. Jackson. Are there any questions? Roll call vote, please, Shay.
Dr. Avant Elliott?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Mario?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Lane?
Yes.
Ms. Tisworth? Dr. Coleman?
Yes. Thank you. At this time, may we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
It's been moved by Ms. Lane. Can I get a second? Second. And second by Ms. Jackson to adjourn. All in favor?
Madam,
Aye.
Madam Chair,
You have a question?
I just wanted an update on our interim CFO. Is that person working?
That person is
That's
working,
you.
he is
Okay,
sitting
good.
amongst
Everybody's
us.
waving at.
All
Mr.
right.
Randy Charles is in the house and has been working very hard.
Okay.
We've had several meetings and we will be sharing information soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You all have a